Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Iggy. Thanks a lot. Good morning, everyone, or should I say good afternoon? I'm just torn in between there. So my name is Lorenzo Palu, and I'm a product designer with Cordent. And Cordent is a software development company. And I've been in the industry for particularly around 10 years. And the bulk of that time has been spent in signage. It has been also been spent in freelancing. So through that experience, I've learned a lot in terms of understanding and getting to know what the client's needs and understanding the problems that users and most clients go through on a day-to-day basis on the business. So yes, as Iggy has indicated, I come from what a tribe called the Batonga People. So the Batonga People are people who reside around the area close to Zambezi, in the Zambezi Basin in the Kariba. So it's a very nice place, but there's a history behind why I am choosing to talk about this particular group of people of which I belong to. So there's a particular event that happened during the 1950s. Or before I continue, let me just introduce my topic. My topic today is user experience in a redefined world. I'm sure a lot of us could appreciate the term redefined, knowing that we're coming post-COVID. What we have experienced through COVID and everything that has happened has changed the way that we do things, has changed the way that we view life. It has also changed the way that we interact. So back to my story of the Batonga people. Let me just quickly find my slides there. Right. So the Batonga people are a group that is found in the Zambezi Basin, like I mentioned. As you can see, the lovely granny there posing for a picture. So this is a very small tribe of people that have occupied that area for a very long time. They are fishermen. They are also craftsmen. They are also people who enjoy creating art houses like on the roof. As you can see, these are the kind of artworks that they did. These were inspired by the fact that the Batonga people stayed close to the Zambezi Basin and they spent most of their time fishing. So that's why you see the houses suspended with stilts there. So they're also great people when it comes to art. As you can see with the intricate designs that they do when it comes to weaving baskets, when it comes to making elegant designs and patterns come to life. So something happened during the time Batonga people in the 1950s that really changed the experience, that really redefined the lives of the Batonga people on how they see the world and how they experience the world. So there was a dam that was created. I'm sure most of you might be familiar with the Kariba Dam. So the very presence of the Kariba Dam was to supply electricity to the majority of the SADC region, and also in particular to Zimbabwe and Zambia. So one might argue that the dam came in as a way for the greater good, right, to provide electricity to the majority of the people. So a sacrifice had to be made for the Batonga people. However, there hasn't been a story on how the Batonga people experienced this, on how it affected their heritage, on how it affected their way of life as they had to leave their ancestral place and go and find another place where they can call home. All these experiences, I'm sure most of us can identify ourselves in, in particular coming from the experience that we had with COVID. So the question then that comes is, what causes us to redefine the world? What really causes us to redefine the world, to rethink the way we do things, right? What really causes us to really focus on a different way of doing things? Well, many times we realize that a crisis really forces us to really rethink the way we do things. It really forces us to address certain issues that we've been ignoring for a very long time. It forces us to address and actually come with even better solutions in the future on how we can solve those problems. We have seen with COVID, we've seen with how it has forced us to make decisions, right, on both a micro and a macro scale. It has forced us to rethink how we focus on the world, how we view the world, how we're going to decide on how the world is going to be in the future. So this has made us rethink and redefine a lot about how the world is going to be in the future. So where do we go from here? Well, the challenge that we have is, of course, the human challenge. The human beings naturally get attached to a certain way of life. Whether it's good or bad, it's debatable. Human beings generally get attached to how they do things. They get attached to habits. They get attached to certain routines, whether it's waking up in the morning, bathing at 6, and going into work at 7:30 to make it for 8. So we have accustomed ourselves to certain habits that in the long term might be difficult for us to change and actually adapt new solutions that can help us. So there are a few issues that we might encounter in this process of trying to redefine the world that we're going through. So one obvious case is the lack of trust, right? This is no rocket science that we see a lot of strife in the world. Depending on which continent you're in, we see a lot of strife. People are dissatisfied with the way things are run. So when we make an abrupt change in the way we do things, people have a challenge adapting. And normally what happens due to the human condition, we tend to lack trust in how we approach these situations. And there's also, like I mentioned, the deep-seated habits that we've endured, that we have cultivated all this time. So all these things are things that have made us the people who we are. So in essence, when we abruptly make a change, what we're simply saying is we want to change essentially who we are. So the question is, how are we willing to change? So the challenge also that we have is fear. We always have that fear of the unknown. If someone makes an abrupt change, an immediate change on a larger scale, there's always that fear of the unknown. What will be the outcome tomorrow? How am I going to get by tomorrow? Am I going to manage tomorrow? If suddenly at work they change and then they say you have to start work at 7, that presents a challenge if you used to start work at 8, because now it means you have to wake up earlier and adjust your schedule. So that presents a little bit of a challenge because of the human condition. And there's also the aspect of nostalgia, right? How do we deal with nostalgia? Because we've seen that nostalgia is a very powerful emotion that determines sometimes decision making. We have seen that people use nostalgia for good, and also we've seen people use nostalgia for bad, right? So we have seen nostalgia being used, to rekindle some of the cherished elements that we love so much. For example, if you look at Hollywood is one typical example where it has capitalized on nostalgia and rekindled all the movies that we love so much. Your favorite superhero, Iron Man, Captain America, Fantastic Four, and all those things. All those are embedded and are made successful because of the use of nostalgia, because we have an affinity, we have a point in our lives where we attached to those things that brought joy to us. Those things at some point brought joy to us. I mean, wearing a superhero t-shirt, reading superhero comics, all those things are powerful emotions that can be used for good and for bad. But on the other side, it can be used for bad as well. In terms of manipulating the narrative, we've seen this happening over and over, especially when it comes to political agendas, when it comes to terrorist groups, and all this through the use of media. So what does this mean then? How do we proceed when we notice that we have all these barriers that might give us a challenge in creating new systems, in creating new products, in creating new ways of doing things? How do we then proceed? Well, we just have to take a few steps back, and one step backward and a few steps forward. So as we proceed forward, we just have to identify that human beings have a genetic lab, right? We understand that we have a genetic lab, and sometimes technology advances way beyond the human comprehension. And that's when we have to address and use certain systems and methodologies that can help us to achieve this. So let's look at how this redefinition has affected business. So according to the World Economic Forum, the founder of the Economic Forum and chairman said, I think 2021 will be a historic year in terms of changing the philosophy of business, moving from shareholder capitalism to stakeholder capitalism. So we have identified that there is a shift in perspective in terms of how we will address business in the future. And this is very exciting. This should bring excitement for us, because it means now, for the very first time, designers are going to be taken seriously. Probably the next question to ask is, does this mean that UX designers or any other form of designers are going to have power to then influence the outcome of many businesses? So this is going to be something interesting as we go forward. So we have seen the rise of the fourth industrial revolution. We have seen how it's taken shape, that it has taken off just during COVID and post-COVID. And we have seen there are certain strategies that have been embedded that are being used to make this a success. For example, data sharing, right? Data sharing will definitely make it easy for companies and businesses to create products and services that are tailor-made for the users. That also means it's going to be very easy for us to make products and services that users will use. We have also noted the use of artificial intelligence that is going to be on the rise, and the digital traceable systems that will definitely make it easy for sustainable development of products and services as well. This will also mean that we also have to design better systems when it comes to cybercrime, as we know that cybercrime is a multi-trillion-dollar industry that is affecting most businesses as well. However, this also means that businesses will probably have to invest a lot when it comes to tech. So during the lockdown, we saw that people had to adapt to new ways of transacting, for example. So when it came to online banking, we saw a lot of transactions being done online, and we saw a jump in the number of users that were using these platforms. So the challenge that we were having initially is that users generally, when users don't see a need for a particular service, it doesn't really necessarily mean that that service is useless, as we see with the online platforms, as only 10% of the users before were using these platforms. But when COVID came, when the necessity came, that number jumped up to 90%. And the good thing is that there was no drop in quality. And this has made it very, very easy for people to transact as well. So what does this really mean? It means that people sometimes don't really know or realize what they want until they see what they want. So we have also seen, like I mentioned, when it comes to the workday, and I assume that I'm speaking to people who are actually working from home right now. So we have also seen that people have been working from home, and this has been very, very effective. This has been very, very productive, actually. So as we go ahead, according to the Harvard review, they did a test and then they found that actually a 6-hour week day is proven to be more productive than an 8-hour day that we know that was created in the 19th century. So as we proceed, we just have to adopt new ways of doing things and new ways of presenting ourselves at work. So I have a very interesting video that's coming from the Global Lighthouse Network, from the World Economic Forum. However, I'm just going to play a small snippet of it as we try to understand the impact of the
fourth industrial revolution. Technology is really changing the game.
There will be a fundamental shift in what consumers want and need.
They want it faster, they want it customized, they want it personalized.
So all of your design the code has to be designed.
Almost all companies are doing something around digital and analytics, but many of them have not really found a way to scale.
Companies are stuck with defined as the pilot product.
They are trying thousands of approaches and are not very focused on how they are really creating early business impact.
For the very first time, advanced manufacturing technologies are helping companies transform the value chains end to end and develop new business models. Lighthouses are the most advanced factories in the world, sort of points of lights for the productivity of manufacturers.
We define by 3W. One is a work reduction, how to be leaner, and one is a waste reduction, how to be greener, and worry reduction, how to become worry-free.
We are changing almost all of our product definition, configuration management.
Okay, I'm just going to end it here for now. But I think we do. I'm just going to end it for now. I think we do get the idea, though. We see a shift and a new way of doing things, a new way of producing, a new way of creating sustainable products, a new way of reducing waste, and a new way of appreciating users' information when it comes to creating products and services. So what does this really mean for the user? Probably that would be the most interesting question to ask. What does that really mean for the user when it comes to everything that is being put in place right now? So we will realize that users are going to get high quality products. And we also realize that there will be highly customizable products. So meaning that you can definitely tailor make the product that you want, meaning that all the things that you wish you had, rather than getting the default colors, shapes, for example, when it comes to a car or something like that, you can customize, and that's something that's already happening in Japan right now. So this also is a move to build trust through a stakeholder influence, because when people are actually now involved in the process and actually we are now giving people what they want, it makes it easy for them to actually get involved and trust the products. So we also see there's a need that is going to be addressing the utility and usability. So the utility aspect referring to the need aspect. This will definitely help us actually make products that clients actually need. Because of the use of data sharing, this will definitely make it easy for users to actually, for us as designers as well, to actually make products that our clients need and that are also usable. So this will also help us to cater for other demographics as well, because I think as we design, as we make products, I think one thing that we might miss is we might be making products that are only aligned to a certain demographic, but probably miss another demographic. For example, that might miss the elderly, because most of the product that we make today, a greater percentage of them usually target the younger generation, but forget the older generation. So this will also something that will affect the healthcare. The healthcare has to be redefined, and it's already redefined because the lockdown has changed the perspective on how people approach healthcare. Instead of being reactive, we had to be proactive. We have seen a surge in people exercising. We have seen an emphasis on how people should actually eat healthy and think how to be proactive on how they approach health. So what does it look like for the future of healthcare in the direction that we're going right now? So we have seen that there is a push, or should I say an experiment, on when it comes to the healthcare. As you can see, those who don't know Grace is a humanoid nurse that is being piloted probably in certain areas in the healthcare to actually see how it can help, in particularly after the impact of COVID. However, there is always the human aspect when it comes to these solutions, and that's the aspect of the uncanny valley that might occur because of the implementation of humanoids in the process of healthcare. Because people might find it very difficult to believe or to find empathy when it comes to humanoids. So we might be getting new roles as well when it comes to probably how we do our design work. Will we still be referred as UX designers, or there's going to be new roles as we go forward? That's something to ponder on. So when it comes to education, we have seen also that there's also been a redefinition. We've been unlearning a lot of things and relearning other ways of doing education. And the systems that we have designed, the online systems that have been designed, have shown that education can be very made possible through online, and probably creating a hybrid system on the side to actually combat the issue that was created by the pandemic. So we're going to see a rise in terms of investment when it comes to education, especially online education as well. So there's definitely going to be a need for a hybrid form of education that will definitely assist in terms of combating these issues. However, there's also a need to address certain things that we have left behind in terms of addressing in terms of addressing poor countries on how they will definitely address these problems. So as I close, the three big questions that I have, probably the three big points, if I may say, that I have is, what we'll be looking forward in this redefined or redesigned world, if I can put it that way, is we will be designing systems that are sustainable. We'll be designing products that are sustainable. We'll be designing services that are sustainable, understanding that there is a relationship between the environment. There's also a relationship between us as humans. When we focus on human-centered design, we also have to understand that there is an aspect that we have to focus, that is the environment that we live in. And that would definitely help us create sustainable products. This will also create better experiences because now we understand the stakeholders, the people that we're designing for, and the environment that we're designing in. This will also mean a better environment for us, enjoying the products that we created, and also making sure that we keep the environment sustainable and safe for everyone. And that's all that I have. Thank you so much.
Lorenzo, thank you for an awesome talk. Lots of positive comments, interesting talk. I recognize Mtah. Already love this topic, so true. So we've got a question, and while I'm asking Lorenzo the question, if there are any questions, please add them to the Ask a Question component. I can't see who this is from, but the question reads, "Hi Lorenzo, thanks for the brilliant talk. I wanted to find out what you have learned about yourself as a human and designer coming out of COVID."
Wow, that's a very beautiful question, eh?
Sure.
Well, that's a very good question. Well, COVID has really taught me to, I think one thing that we can agree on is that COVID gave us enough time to think. So it has really given me a few, I can say, key perspective that I think I'm a designer that focuses on actually solving problems, not solving symptoms. Because I think what we've seen all this time is that we've been addressing symptoms that have shown not to go away along the way. So I think it has shown me to be a designer that actually comes up with actually solutions for the problems that we face. Whether those solutions are going to be implemented, that's another thing that we have to ask ourselves. But I think as long as we have we are conscious that we actually have a mandate to actually come up with solutions instead of merely addressing the symptoms of the problems that we go through. I don't know if that helps.
Thank you. Thank you for
answered
that.
the question. Okay.
And if there's, I don't see any more questions. If there are any questions, please add them to the component. Alternatively, we are adding highlights of all the talks onto Twitter and LinkedIn. We urge you to please engage with the speakers on LinkedIn. At them because we are including them in the highlight or in the little post. Please comment or ask your questions even there and connect with all the speakers. Yeah, we don't have any more questions, Lorenzo, but lots of positive comments. Thank you so much for an awesome talk. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Iggy.